Alright, buckle up, fellow children of the 80s. Let's take a stroll down memory lane, but this time, we're visiting the back alley of forgotten fads. Prepare for a nostalgic chuckle as we dissect 10 items from the 1980s that, shall we say, didn't exactly set the world on fire. We'll delve into why they flopped, with a dash of humor and a hefty helping of historical context. Get ready to say, oh yeah, I forgot about that. The Sinclair C5, the electric vehicle that wasn't quite shocking enough. Sir Clive Sinclair, the British inventor who gave us the ZX Spectrum computer, which, let's be honest, had its own issues, decided he wanted to revolutionize personal transportation. The result? The Sinclair C5, a one-person, battery-powered tricycle that looked like a futuristic bathtub on wheels. Launched in 1985, the C5 promised to be an affordable and eco-friendly alternative to cars. Why it flopped? Where do we even begin? First, the C5 was slow. Painfully slow. Top speed was around 15 miles per hour, which meant you were likely to be overtaken by joggers. Second, it was low to the ground. Very low. This made it difficult to see in traffic and, conversely, made it incredibly easy for cars to not see you. Third, the battery life was abysmal. You were lucky to get 20 miles on a single charge, and that was only if you pedaled along with the electric motor. Fourth, it was marketed as a car alternative, but it offered none of the protection or convenience of a car. Fifth, it was essentially an open-air vehicle, making it unusable in rain or cold weather. The public saw it for what it was, an impractical, overpriced toy. It sold poorly, and Sinclair vehicles went bankrupt shortly after its release. Today, the C5 is a collector's item, a testament to the dangers of overambition and the importance of thinking things through before launching them into the market. It's a cautionary tale of how even the most innovative minds can sometimes miss the mark in spectacular fashion. New Coke, the soda that tried to fix what wasn't broken. Ah, New Coke. The infamous reformulation of Coca-Cola that sent shockwaves through the soda-drinking world in 1985. Coca-Cola, worried about losing market share to Pepsi, and its Pepsi Challenge blind taste tests, decided to tamper with their sacred formula. They unveiled New Coke, which was sweeter and smoother than the original. Why it flopped? Coca-Cola made a colossal mistake. They underestimated the emotional connection people had with the original Coke. It wasn't just about the taste, it was about nostalgia, tradition, and a sense of comfort. Consumers reacted with outrage. They hoarded the original Coke, wrote angry letters to Coca-Cola, and even formed protest groups. The backlash was so intense that Coca-Cola caved and brought back the original formula as Coca-Cola Classic, just 79 days later. New Coke remained on the market for a few more years, but it was forever tainted by its disastrous launch. The lesson learned? Don't mess with a classic, especially when it comes to people's beloved sugary beverages. It's a prime example of how marketing research can sometimes miss the fundamental emotional drivers of consumer behavior. ColecoVision Atom, the computer that couldn't quite compute. Coleco, the company that brought us the ColecoVision video game console, decided to jump into the home computer market in 1983 with the ColecoVision Atom. It was an ambitious attempt to create a fully integrated system, including a keyboard, printer, and data storage device, all designed to work seamlessly with the ColecoVision console. Why it flopped? The Atom was plagued with problems from the start. The most glaring issue was its unreliability. The printer was notoriously finicky, and the data storage system and #40, which used digital data packs instead of floppy disks and #41, was prone to errors. But the biggest problem was that the Atom's power supply would often erase the data on the data packs when the system was turned on or off. Imagine writing a long document, only to have it disappear when you shut down your computer. Coleco rushed the Atom to market to capitalize on the Christmas shopping season, but the quality control was abysmal. Returns and complaints flooded in, damaging Coleco's reputation. The Atom was a financial disaster, and Coleco eventually abandoned the computer market altogether. The Atom stands as a symbol of the dangers of releasing a product before it's fully ready. DeLorean DMC-12, the stainless steel dream that rusted. The DeLorean DMC-12, the iconic car from the Back to the Future movies, was supposed to be a game-changer. With its stainless steel body, gull-wing doors, and futuristic design, it certainly looked the part. But beneath the gleaming exterior lay a host of problems. Why it flopped? The DeLorean suffered from poor build quality, lackluster performance, and a high price tag. The engine was underpowered, the handling was questionable, and the interior was cramped and uncomfortable. The stainless steel body, while visually striking, was difficult to repair and prone to fingerprints. The car was also plagued by financial troubles. John DeLorean, the company's founder, was arrested on drug trafficking charges, which further damaged the company's reputation. The DeLorean Motor Company went bankrupt in 1982, leaving a trail of disappointed customers and unpaid creditors. The DeLorean became a pop culture icon thanks to Back to the Future, but the movie's success couldn't save the car itself. It remains a symbol of unrealized potential and the dangers of style over substance. HD DVD, the format war casualty. The mid-2000s saw a battle royale for the next generation of high-definition video formats. On one side stood Blu-ray, backed by Sony and a coalition of electronics manufacturers. On the other side was HD DVD, supported by Toshiba. Why it flopped? HD DVD had a few advantages over Blu-ray initially, including lower manufacturing costs and a shorter time to market. But Blu-ray had a crucial edge: support from major movie studios. As more studios threw their weight behind Blu-ray, HD DVD's prospects dimmed. The final blow came when Warner Bros., a major studio that had been releasing movies in both formats, announced it would exclusively support Blu-ray. Toshiba threw in the towel shortly after, effectively ending the format war and leaving HD DVD as a footnote in media history. It serves as a reminder that technology alone isn't enough, content is king, and backing from key industry players can make or break a product. Crystal Pepsi, the clear choice for confusion. In 1992, Pepsi introduced Crystal Pepsi, a clear cola. The idea was that clear equals pure, and pure equals healthy, never mind the sugar content. Why it flopped? Crystal Pepsi was essentially regular Pepsi without the caramel coloring. Consumers found the clear appearance unsettling. Cola is supposed to be brown. The lack of color made people think it tasted different, even though it didn't. The novelty wore off quickly, and Crystal Pepsi disappeared from store shelves after a few years. It's a case study in how visual cues can heavily influence taste perception, and how sometimes, things are better left the way they are, brown and sugary. The Edsel, of the 80s. The Pontiac Fiero. Okay, the Edsel was a late 50s disaster, but the Pontiac Fiero, launched in 1983, earns a similar epic failure badge for the 80s. It was GM's attempt at a mid-engine sports car, targeting a younger, more performance-oriented demographic. Why it flopped? The Fiero's initial promise quickly evaporated. First, the engine was woefully underpowered. It used a modified version of a Iron Duke 4-cylinder engine, more suited for economy cars than sports cars. Second, early models were prone to engine fires due to oil leaks and poor design. Third, the build quality was questionable. Fourth, GM never fully committed to developing the Fiero, limiting its potential. While later models saw improvements, the Fiero's reputation was already tarnished. It became known as a cheap, unreliable sports car rather than the performance machine it was intended to be. The Fiero's failure highlights the importance of execution. A good concept can be ruined by poor engineering and lack of corporate support. Video phone, the picture that wasn't worth $1,000. The concept of video phones has been around for decades, but the 1980s saw a renewed push to bring them into homes. Various companies offered clunky, expensive systems that allowed you to see the person you were talking to. Why it flopped? There were several reasons why video phones failed to take off in the 80s. First, the technology was expensive and unreliable. The picture quality was often grainy and distorted, and the connections were prone to dropping. Second, the bandwidth required for video calls was limited, making it difficult to transmit and receive images in real time. The biggest issue was the lack of a widespread network. You could only call people who also had a video phone, and very few people did. It was a chicken and egg problem that the technology couldn't solve. In the end, video phones were a solution in search of a problem. People were perfectly happy talking on regular phones, and the added benefit of seeing the other person wasn't worth the extra cost and hassle. The wacky wall walker, sticky, slimy, and ultimately, a disappointment. A classic piece of 80s novelty, the wacky wall walker was a small, sticky plastic octopus or spider designed to walk down walls. You'd throw it against a vertical surface, and gravity, combined with the slightly adhesive plastic, would cause it to slowly flip and descend. Why it flopped? In the long run, the wacky wall walker was briefly a playground sensation, but its popularity quickly faded. First, the stickiness wore off quickly, rendering it useless. Second, it picked up dirt and debris, further reducing its stickiness and making it a gross, grimy mess. Third, the novelty wore off quickly. Watching it walk down a wall was only entertaining for a few minutes. The wacky wall walker was a prime example of a fleeting fad. It offered instant gratification but lacked lasting appeal. The home satellite dish before cable domination. Before cable television became ubiquitous, some adventurous souls invested in giant satellite dishes for their homes. These massive contraptions, often taking up a significant portion of the backyard, allowed access to a wide range of channels not available over traditional broadcast TV. Why it flopped? Relatively, while home satellite dishes had a moment, they were ultimately overtaken by cable television for several reasons. Firstly, they were incredibly expensive, costing thousands of dollars. Secondly, they were large, unsightly, and required significant space for installation. Thirdly, the signal could be unreliable, particularly during bad weather. Lastly, cable offered a more convenient and affordable alternative, with a wide selection of channels and easier installation. The home satellite dish became a symbol of technological enthusiasm, but it was ultimately a bridge to the more accessible and convenient world of cable and, eventually, streaming. So there you have it. A trip down the memory lane of 80s fails. Some were ambitious but flawed, others were simply misguided, and a few were just plain weird. But they all serve as a reminder that innovation is a messy process, and not every idea is a winner. And hey, at least they gave us something to laugh about. For more videos like this, please don't forget to subscribe the channel. Goodbye.